following. In a confidential way, through diplomatic channels, behind closed doors, communicate to the Israeli government and to the elite of Israel through personal contacts that Netanyahu is simply unacceptable. The form that this could take is a veto. Veto Netanyahu. Announce the conclusion of the United States government that the paramount fundamental national interests of the United States are outrageously threatened by Netanyahu as an individual, as a demagogue, as a person, a warmonger, a focus of subversive activities subversive of international peace and security. And therefore, Netanyahu is not acceptable to the United States as the prime minister. And with all due respect to these elections, we know that the Israeli elections are exorbitantly influenced by people like Sheldon Adelson and other rich Americans who always come down on the side of the warmonger, the reactionary, the provocateur, the exponent of bluster and aggression, and so forth. And in our generation, that's been this Netanyahu. He's unacceptable. Now, there are two orders of leverage to back this up. One, of course, is the diplomatic one. It's long been the case that the United States has been the only barrier between the outrage of the rest of the world, and that's the only way to put it, the rest of the world, with almost no exceptions, and people like Netanyahu. So, indeed, in the Security Council, it would be good to see an early raising of this question, should there be a Palestinian state, and therefore have the UN Security Council vote for it. The United States, of course, can abstain, but not veto it. And with that, it will go through, because even the British and the French are going to vote for it, depending on, of course, on how it's phrased. But generally speaking, they will vote for it. The other line of leverage, of course, is the $3.5 billion in aid given by the United States to Israel. It might be time to slow down on some of those deliveries, right? It might be a good time to manifest this view, this finding, that Netanyahu is a threat to world peace as an individual, right? Just as a person. And he must no longer be allowed to have access to these levers of power. I think it is time to say that these smaller countries with unstable politics and demagogic leaders, right? In other words, you look at Ukraine, right? The whole policy is the politics of the country is based on Russophobia. We cannot allow that to interfere with the peace of the world and impose a world war on the United States, because we don't want a world war. We are sick of war, and we're not taking it anymore. And that would go for Netanyahu, and that would go for some others, too. And I would urge anybody involved in those little islands there in the South China Sea to also back off, be it Japan or China, Vietnam, Taiwan, all, please. Back off. The United States will not be a party to this. On the other hand, we also will severely frown on people coming in there, because Japan is after all right there. Is it unprecedented? Well, no. It used to be, with elections, there used to be elections with a veto. The papal conclaves. Hey, the papal conclave, for example, of 1903, only yesterday, 100 years ago, a little bit more. The papal conclave of 1903, the leading candidate was an Italian cardinal called Rampolla. He was the Secretary of State in the Vatican. He was a disciple of the outgoing, then deceased Pope Leo XIII. He was the mentor of Benedict XV, the Pope that came after him. But this series was interrupted when the Cardinal of, I think of Galicia, actually, but in the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Cardinal of Krakow, I believe, got up and read a veto message from Franz Joseph, the Emperor of Austria, saying that the election of Rampolla is unacceptable to the Austrian Empire. And of course, the Spanish king, the French king, and the Austrian emperor had long asserted this right to a veto, even though it was contested. Rampolla was considered pro-French as a result. Pardon me. As a result of the of this veto, Rampolla was not elected. And we had Pius X, and I think this is a negative page in the history of the papacy, Pius X and his cardinal, Marie del Val, who was his secretary of state. All right, so here's an example of a veto. This one turned out poorly, but I think a veto of Netanyahu could turn out to be quite positive, if only in the sense that it would avoid the worst. Because what's he going to do now? Will there be a new intifada? Will the Palestinians rise up? Will the PLO be overthrown? Remember, the PLO is based completely on this idea that you can have a negotiated solution. And now Netanyahu says essentially, I fooled you for 20 years. Well, you didn't fool anybody, but everybody played along. Now you've made it impossible for them to play along. And what's left? Will there be violence? Will there be, again, a new intifada? Will Hamas and its movement of despair and the Muslim Brotherhood spread into the West Bank? I certainly hope not, but that's the kind of thing that can happen here. Okay, now, changing gears, we've got to talk about currency chaos and the international financial system. We have just been through a wild roller coaster week. You're aware that the moneyed power, right, the power of organized greed, the power of organized money has been pressing the intellectually weak leadership of the Federal Reserve under Janet Yellen. And remember, as Subliminal Man would say, Tarpley for Fedhead, Tarpley for Fedhead. Yellen, obviously not capable of carrying out this job, has been making verbal concessions that they're going to raise interest rates. This is supreme folly. If they raise interest rates and that's all they do, and that's all they are going to do, you're going to get a very, very serious outbreak of world economic depression, as we've seen with the currency chaos of this past week. Dollar down against the euro 2% one day and then up 2% the next day. Back in a minute.
Attention listeners, SurvivalLife.com is giving away free EverStrike permanent matches for a limited time only. These matches are waterproof and will light in any weather condition, rain, snow, or sleet. It will still throw a spark. Its built-in ferro rod strikes at 3,000 degrees, and it is good for 15,000 strikes. Normally, $15. Today, it's free. Get yours at freesurvivallighter.com. Again, that's freesurvivallighter.com. Hurry, supplies are limited. Visit freesurvivallighter.com today.
Are you hungry for delicious, nutritious, rich, and satisfying home-cooked meals? Discover the Vita Clay 4-in-1 Smart Organic Cooker. Unglazed Zisha Clay, an ancient secret that makes this fast multi-cooker so special. Infusing your food with incredible flavors, perfect texture, vitamins, and minerals for your good health. It's a slow cooker, rice cooker, a steamer, plus a yogurt maker. Go to VitaClayChef.com and enter promo code RADIO20 for 20% off at checkout. That's VitaClayChef.com.
Hi, this is Steve Sanchez, and based on a recent study, it was found that 57 million Americans had legal issues over the last 12 months, but only 60% of those studied sought out the services of a lawyer. Why? In a nutshell, affordability. Well, my friends at Legal Shield have created a solution that can help you not if, but when you need an attorney. For as little as $17 per month, Legal Shield will provide you unlimited access to qualified attorneys at an accomplished law firm for advice and counsel on legal issues, no matter how serious or trivial. For over 40 years and with 1.4 million families across North America, Legal Shield can help you, the loyal GCN listener. Representatives are standing by now to answer your questions, so call them now at 1-855-340-SAVE. That's 1-855-340-7283, or visit them at lsprotection.com. That's lsprotection.com.
Results will vary from case to case.
Most people know that drinking pure high alkaline pH water is the most important factor in maintaining high energy and vibrant health. Most experts agree that the water you drink should be at a pH level of 8 or higher. AlkaVision Plasma pH drops combine a unique formula of the most alkaline minerals. Using plasma pH drops is the best way to make your water alkaline to help you get rid of acid and regain your health and energy. Simply put 10 drops in the water you drink to raise the pH to a healthy level. Alkalizing water helps your body rid itself of acidic waste and increases the oxygen content of your body. Disease organisms like bacteria, viruses, and cancer cannot survive in an alkaline high pH environment. Order your bottle of AlkaVision Plasma pH drops now by going directly to alkavision.com. That's ALKA Vision.com. Or call 269-409-1776. 269-409-1776 today.
You pick up the receiver with your heart racing and sweat dripping from your forehead. You finally muster the courage to dial the number to call into your favorite talk radio show. It rings once, twice, and then...
Hello, it's GCN. What's your name and the state you're calling from?
Surprised you got through, you squeak out.
Jason from Minnesota.
Please hold.
As you patiently wait for your turn, you begin to daydream about being a famous talk radio host and what it would be like to have your own show.
Jason from Minnesota, you're up.
Millions of loyal listeners worldwide waiting to call and talk to you.
Caller, are you there?
Cheering crowds surround you, calling out your name.
Jason! Jason!
Going once, twice. Okay, we gotta move on to the next caller.
You blew it.
Huh? Wait, no!
Interact with the host you're listening to right now, online at GCNlive.com. Click on the community link. Engage with other listeners. Ask questions. Start debates. Don't agree with the host? Let them know. Be a part of the community at GCNlive.com. A little right, a little left, but always independent-minded. The Genesis Communications Network, GC.
World Crisis Radio, now where we're unfortunately not able to have Michael Chiotinas with us last week, and I know from the communications I've been getting that people miss him very much. So he's back with us this week. It really is something to do not so much with the political situation or economic, but the Eastern Standard Time to Eastern Daylight Time change. Now, we have had Merkel, as far as I can see today. Merkel says every paragraph of the original extorted memorandum of the Troika has to be respected. And we've had Varoufakis saying, that is the Greek finance minister, that it's really the interest of these Frankfurt banks to keep the euro on the edge, a permanent crisis that makes people frightened to leave their money in any of the other banking centers, right? Be it Paris or Rome or Athens or whatever it is. No, they have to keep it in Frankfurt because of the fear of these other countries going into a crisis mode. So obviously we know that Merkel, very much a creature of Josef Ackermann of Deutsche Bank. That's who put Merkel on the map. So we shouldn't forget that. But let's go to Athens and Michael Chiotinas. Michael, welcome.
Hello, Webster. And
so what's the picture?
That's exactly right, what you said. The thing is that, as you said, the euro is not really a currency. There is no real unity in the euro because a euro, if you have a euro in a German bank, it has a bigger expected value when the blackmail of a Grexit or a euro breakup is over our heads. It has a bigger expected value than 1 euro in a French bank.